Estate. I'm a real estate agent, coach, and investor. And every week we do a weekly workshop where we talk about a different topic in real estate to help you move your business forward. It's every Monday at 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Consider this your invitation. All right, show me the money, how to spend our commission checks. So you guys are hopefully going to be getting commission checks rolling in because it is now spring. So we want to make sure that when we get those checks coming in, not if, but when, we will be knowing where to spend those and what to do with those. All right, first and foremost, we always start with big picture and then kind of narrow it down. So we're going to talk about financial goals. What should they be? How should they be? What should we create when we are in real estate? So this is going to be specific to you as real estate agents. I want to make sure that you guys know what you're doing, where you're going, how to get there. Then we're going to talk about, we got paid, woohoo! Now what? What do we do once we get paid? Taxes and investing 101. We're not going to spend a ton of time on this because guess what? I am not a tax professional, and I'm also not an investing professional, although I am an investor, and so I do like to talk about this. One of the things that we always talk about is when you are in real estate, it's super important that you also become a real estate investor. We want to make sure that you know that that's where you're headed and how to get there. And then we're going to talk about how to win, what's important now. And then of course, as always, a bonus when you stay till the end. So make sure you're staying till the end with me. And I'm going to give you some good tips and tricks. All right. So some truths about money. This comes from some of like the Keller Williams main people, some conferences that we've been to and things like that. So truth number one, the key to happiness is not more money. Happiness is happiness and money is money. We talk about this when we talk about, you know, money is not inherently bad. I hear sometimes from some people in really high price points where they say, oh, I just kind of feel like gross when I get these giant commissions. And I'm like, why? You are providing a service, you're providing a high level of service, and you are getting paid for that service. So you do not need to feel bad about the money that you make. And some of us, I know in some of the other market centers are like, I wish I had that problem. So money is not inherently good. It's not inherently bad. It is good for the good you can do and bad for the bad that you can do. And so we want to say, when we talk about happiness, the key to happiness is not about having more money or making more money. These are two totally separate things. Whatever your life is about, more money will amplify it. Money won't change you, it will expose you. And I always love to think of it, I've heard before that money is like a magnifying glass. So whatever you are, it's just going to magnify it. If you're a good person and you want to give back and you want to help others, having more money is just going to help you do that. If you're not a great person and you want to take and take and take, having more money is just going to help you do that. So we want to make sure that when we're talking about this, you understand that this idea, having more money is not bad. And it's not great. It's not going to make you a better person. It's going to make you the person you are, but you're going to be able to do it easier, faster, whatever it is. Money has its own rules and disciplines. If you don't learn them, you're basically financially illiterate. So you can see this is jumping around truth 1, truth 2, truth 6. That's because I'm pulling from the best ofs from this conference that we had gone to. So money has its own rules. So we need to make sure that we're learning the rules of the game. And when we talk about that, some people don't like to hear it as talked about as a game. But the reality is it can be, you can make it fun. You can make it exciting to make money, to spend money, to save money, whatever you want to do. You can gamify it and it can be fun. And it has its own rules. And it's our job to learn those rules. So let's talk about financial independence. That's the goal. We want to get to be financially independent. And what that means is financial independence is a state in which an individual or household has sufficient wealth to live on without having to depend on income from some form of employment. So when we talk about, I have to sell a house because I need to eat, we are not financially independent at that point. We are financially dependent on our job. If we talk about, oh, my spouse has a W-2 and I'm so glad they're never going to leave that W-2 because we're dependent on that for our benefits, You are financially dependent on that job. What we want to get to is financial independence. And the way we get to this is by having passive income. And that passive income is where we look to real estate investments, where we look to other types of investments like owning businesses or owning stocks or whatever. Because we're in real estate, that's what we're going to talk about. That's what our focus is talking about real estate. Because when we are real estate agents, we see the market, we know what's going on. And so we want to make sure that you guys are in a position to be able to move on something when it's time to invest. Because guess what? There is no 401k in real estate. Keller Williams does not have a 401k. Sorry to break it to you if that's news to you. The 401ks, that quote unquote job security, which by the way, I don't believe in job security anywhere. Somebody can say, I'm done with you and lay off 10,000 people like they've done in the tech sector in the last few months. People who had quote unquote job security are now without a job. And so we need to get to the point, if those people were at the point where they had financial independence, it wouldn't be such a big deal. Hey guys, we're going to jump back into the workshop in just a second. But first, if you're getting value out of this, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button so that you get more videos just like this as soon as they come out. Don't forget to watch till the end for a special bonus. And one last thing before we jump back in, if you're interested in coaching and taking your business to the next level, we have a proven system that has worked with hundreds of agents to get them into production. We would love to help you. Schedule a call with me at the link below and let's connect. Now let's jump back into the workshop. So we have here the 5 stages to financial independence. So we talked about financial dependence, dependent on others financially. Net worth, net cash flow are negative usually. So this is when we're talking about we're depending on our credit cards to live, we're depending on our job, we are living paycheck to paycheck. That's financial dependence. Financial solvency, when all financial commitments can easily be covered from one's current income. So whether that's from a W-2 job, whether that's from your real estate, you're financially solvent. That's good. That's the step 2. Financial stability is when a person has sufficient funds for their current needs as well as for emergencies. In real estate, we tell you, you should have 6 months to a year in reserves in your emergency fund, because some of you guys know getting started, it's taking you a little bit longer to get started than you thought. That was the case for me. It took me 9 months before I closed my first transaction. And we want to get you there faster. We want to cut that timeline down. And the reality is sometimes that happens, especially in the market that we're in. Don't get discouraged about that, because that doesn't mean that you're never going to make money. It just means it might take a little longer to get there. But that's why we tell you, you need to have money in the bank. You need to have cash in the bank to get you through this tough time. And markets ebb and flow. We're seeing this. We saw in 2020 that there were lots of sales and lots of people were doing things. Lots of real estate agents were having their best years ever. And then the market's coming down. And we're starting to see, hopefully it's going to go back up, because every year there's ebb and flow in the seasonality of real estate. You want to make sure in this financial stability, this is definitely where we want to head, that you have money to cover all your expenses. So come December, you're not like, oh my gosh, I haven't had a closing in 3 months. And now I can't eat. I can't buy Christmas presents. I can't do these things. We want to get to the point where you can cover all of your basic needs and have money in the bank to cover for emergencies. Financial security is when one has sufficient savings, stable expenses, and is moving toward being debt-free. Debt-free is where we want you guys to get. We want to make sure that you guys are debt-free. And hear me when I say, you know, you might have an accountant that says, no, you should be leasing your vehicle, because if you lease a high-end vehicle, it's better for your taxes and blah, blah, blah. That's not what we're talking about here. And in the beginning of your career, that's not what you should be doing. In the beginning of your career, you should be striving to be debt-free. And then once you have more regular income, then you can start talking about these tax strategies, like potentially leasing your $120,000 Tesla. Great. That's later on in your career, not today. We want you to be headed toward debt-free. And so for those of you who are not in foundation anymore, for you who have moved on to momentum, you'll see you have a budget that lays out all of these different line items, like becoming debt-free, making how much do you need to pay off all your debt in 1 year? We want you to do it quickly because that's how we move through these stages. We want you to say, I need to make $250,000 to be able to pay off my $150,000 student loan and my $50,000 car and my, hopefully you don't have those expenses starting out, but some people do. And so we want to make sure that you can pay stuff down because that is definitely your goal. You don't want consumer debt. Now, consumer debt is not talking about housing, your mortgage. That's not talking about your mortgage. You can have your mortgage, you can have that good debt. Student loans are not good debt. Car payments are not good debt. Credit cards are very bad debt. So it's okay to have a credit card, pay it off each month. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And then financial independence, which is step 5. This is the goal. This is where we want to get when one has enough money for current lifestyle, long-term needs, and expenses. So you're covering all your bases, you're debt-free, and you can pay to invest, you can pay for your future, you can pay for all of those kind of things. So the money that's coming in, you're not dependent on your job to get those finances. So I have a few quotes. I like these quotes. Money is a terrible master, but an excellent servant. We need to be the one who controls the money. We do not need our money controlling us. And so often, especially when we are first initially in real estate, so often that's what's happening, is our money is controlling us. We need to get to the point where we are the master and money is our servant. And I love this because this, I agree 150%. Real wealth is not about money. Real wealth is not having to go to meetings, not having to spend time with jerks, not being locked into status games, not feeling like you have to say yes, not worrying about others claiming your time and energy. Real wealth is about freedom. That is what this is all about. And so many of us got into real estate for the freedom that it affords us. But we have to do the work. We have to put in the work before we can have that freedom. But this is what we're talking about. It's not about money. It's about having the freedom to choose to work. Do I want to work with this nasty client who's rude to me and who's annoying and who? No. But when I'm first in real estate, I feel like I have to work with everybody because it's a paycheck. I feel like I have to do that. But when we have the freedom to say, you know what, I'm going to refer you to a great agent over there because I don't want to work with you. If I am struggling for a paycheck, I don't have that freedom. That's what this is about. That's what real wealth is about. And that's where we want to get. All right, let's get down to the nitty gritty. So when we get paid, what do we need to do with that paycheck? So first off, let's talk about where do our commission dollars go? This is a sad picture and it is reality. So when we talk about this, it is a good thing to get this in your mind from day one to figure out where do my commission dollars go? Because if you're saying, great, I'm closing a $2 million deal, I should be getting $60,000. I'm going to be able to pay off $60,000 worth of debt, still have some money to play with, blah, blah, blah. You're sorely mistaken. And it's very important to see this, know this, hear this, because you want to make sure that you have this understanding going into it. So where do your commission dollars go? Half of it goes to the other agent right off the bat. 50% goes to the other agent. This is when you're talking about a listing. So if you're the buyer's agent, you're collecting that half, let's just say. But this is also a good thing to talk about when we're talking to our clients when they say 6%, that's a lot. Well, really, you're realistically only talking about 3% and then it dwindles from there. And yes, I said 6%. So in every market center, you should be striving to get 6%, even if 5.5% is typical in your market center. You want to be providing so much value that they're saying, yes, of course, I would love to give you 6%. That's it. I want to give you more. So provide that value, learn what you're doing to do that. So the next thing is market center fees. Most everybody is on a 30% split. That's GCI, gross commission income. That comes off the top. By the way, all of your fees are from the GCI. They come off the top. And so when you're thinking about how much you're going to take home, you have to remember that all of these things come off the top. Your market center fees usually are about 30%. So if you're going to be bringing home, let's say $10,000, remember $3,000 of that is going straight to your market center. So now you're bringing home $7,000. Then we have business expenses. we should be putting 30% toward our business expenses. Now, keep in mind that for you guys who are in PC, your percentage is going to, this is part of your business expenses. Any kind of coaching, mentoring, training, anything like that would always go toward business expenses. So yes, it's taking a percentage off the top, but remember when we say it's 30% should be going to your business, still the 10% or whatever it is that's taken out for coaching is a business expense. I hope you guys are hearing me with that, know what I'm saying. So it should be, you're paying 30% to your market center. Those are cost of sales, by the way. Once you cap, your cost of sales go down because you don't have to worry about these market center fees. Now, remember, for all of you guys who are KW, you have a market center fee and a royalty fee. The royalty fee is much easier to cap because it's a smaller fee, and I think they take a little bit different of a percentage. They take a different percentage. So it's faster and easier to cap with that royalty fee. You do have that royalty fee until you cap. And I think that's $3,000. So easier to cap, it's quick, it's easy, no problem with that. And then the market center is usually about 30%. And so you cap at whatever your cap is, and then you get to take home 100% of that. But remember, when you're talking about taking home 100% of it, you still have business expenses, you still have taxes. And for most of us, we're probably in about a 30% tax bracket. If you're in a different tax bracket, then you can figure that out based on your own self. But your taxes, make sure that you know about your taxes, make sure you know how much you're paying towards your taxes. Make sure how much are you doing quarterly taxes? If not, what's the penalty? Are you paying on time? What is it that you need to do? It's very important to be doing your taxes regularly, because otherwise they're going to be taken down, or it's going to take you down. And then finally, your take home. So when we talk about half is going to the other agent, 30% is going to your market center, 30% going to your business expenses, 30% going to taxes. Now this is what you're taking home. So this picture, even though it's sad, is very realistic. You are not taking home 100% of your commission. And this is okay, because remember, what we want is we want the volume. We want to make sure that we have enough business that we get a lot of these. Because if we only get one of these, we can't even afford to pay our MLS dues. We need to make sure that we are making enough money to support ourselves, to pay our expenses, to pay for our dues and fees and education and all kinds of stuff. So keep this in mind where your commission dollars are going. All right, so when we talk about investing that 30% back into your business, this is super important. What we want to do, these are kind of the top 4 things that we want to invest back into. Marketing. So marketing can look like a lot of different things. Marketing can be social media, which can be free and should be free for a lot of it. But marketing can be paid social media. It can be flyers that you print. It can be postcards that you send out. Marketing is a lot of different things. For sure, we tell you don't spend money till you make money. And so when you do have a closing, you want to be spending money. You want to start spending money on some of these marketing expenses and things like that. So make sure that you are still putting aside money to do marketing, even though you feel like, I need all this money to pay my bills or whatever. You need money to be able to grow your business. So make sure you're putting that money back into marketing. Education. You should always, forevermore be doing education. Because you're at Keller Williams, you probably have that mindset. We want to make sure that you guys are continuing your education. We provide lots of classes for free, but there are some conferences that cost money, and there are some books that you want to buy, and there are some things that you want to spend some money on. This is not saying spend, like $100,000 a year, unless that fits into your 30% budget for your expenses. If it does, great, spend $100,000 a year on education. I would love that for you, but make sure you are playing red light, green light with your expenses. Systems and tools. Now, thankfully, we have command at Keller Williams. We have command that you're already paying for. I used to say it was free. It's not free. You're paying for it. We pay monthly into our tech systems and things like that. That's what we're already paying for. So remember, when every month when you pay for KWRI or your Keller Williams Market Center stuff, whatever it is, those are your business expenses. It needs to be a separate account, a separate line item. However you're keeping track of all of this, you are paying for your systems. Now, do you have another CRM? First of all, if you're a new agent, you should not have another CRM. Command does everything you need it to do. If you're a big giant team and you need, like different things, then yes, maybe you need something outside of Command. That's where this would come in. As a new agent,
I'm not sure I understand.
she's not listening. She is listening. As a new agent and as a solo agent, Command does everything you need. So don't pay more for your systems that you already have. This goes for, sometimes I talk about Zapier and things that are like, what are they called? Integrations for Command. Most everything that I use is free because I want to make sure that it is free. I want to make sure that I'm not spending money that I don't need to spend. But there are things that I do spend money on, like Calendly. You guys have heard me talk about that before. I love Calendly and I spend like $15 a month on it, because it does a few things for me that the free version does not. So yes, I'm going to spend money on that. I do not spend money on my digital business card. Some people do. I would say don't, because they have plenty that are free. And if you want to, that's an okay thing to do. That would be under this systems budget. And then people. People is your lead generation. So you want to make sure that you are putting a line item in your budget to be taking people out to coffee, to be taking people out to lunch, to be taking your clients out to dinner. You want to make sure that you're still pouring back into your people, and this should be a business expense. Don't think of it as a personal expense and we're just going out to coffee and it'll be fun. And yes, that is true. You are going out to coffee. It should be fun, but make sure that you're thinking of it as a business expense. So this people right now, these are your clients. Eventually, this might turn into your staff. This might turn into your TC. It might turn into your assistant. It might turn into your showing agents when you're building a team. Whatever it is, this is how this gets broken up. Now, you at the beginning, this is not going to be equal, but you're going to figure out how much you have to put in where. Your marketing should definitely be the most you're spending money on. Education, you should be spending between 10 and 15%. Your systems in the beginning, you should be spending like 1 to 5%, and your people and marketing are what you should be spending the most amount of your business income on. Next, we're going to talk about what are the steps to financial freedom. So this 30-30-30, this is what we talked about, is 30% to your market center, no, 30% to your business, 30% to your taxes, and 30% that comes home to you. Now, if you haven't capped yet, then part of that is going to be part of your business expenses and things like that. You may not get that full 30%. But so you want to just figure that out with your own business, how you do that. But 30-30-30 is what the aim should be. Make sure you're putting aside 30% for taxes. Have proper coverage, medical, long-term care, disability, home, etc. Your car, make sure that you're not skimping out on that. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't get benefits, so I'm not going to pay for it. Benefits are not, I mean, okay, I shouldn't say they're not that expensive, because they can be. I know they can be, but you should, one transaction should cover your medical benefits for at least 6 months or so. So make sure that you have this proper coverage and put that into your budget so that you know you have to make at least this much money to cover that. So for people who rely on their spouse's benefits or things like that, it's great if you have that, but you also need to make sure that you still maintain that for yourself, that you have long-term care and disability, because with real estate, your job is dependent on you. You have to make sure that you are the one who is going to be able to work, that you're going to be able to move, that you are going to have a car. You have to make sure that you have all these things. So make sure that you have proper coverage. Pay off your consumer debt and don't carry a balance again. Remember, your consumer debt is your car, it's your credit cards, it's your student loans. Those are the things that we want to make sure we're paying off. You don't have to pay off your mortgage. And we want to get to the point where you can pay off your mortgage. But when we're talking about this is not what, we're not talking about paying off your mortgage. Don't think you have to pay off your $600,000 home when we're talking about paying off your debt. We're talking about pay off your $10,000 credit card, pay off your $20,000 student loans, pay off whatever, those things. And then we want you to save. Make sure you are saving 6 months to 1 year. Now, prior to this is kind of steps that we want to have, we want you to have, but prior to this, you should have a baby emergency fund. You should always have an emergency fund, $1,000 to $5,000, definitely on the heavier side. And if you have it on the lower side, that should be the first thing to build up. But you don't need to say your first step is $60,000 because that's what 6 months of savings is. You want to make sure that you're saving a little bit first and then walking through some of these steps. And then your next step is going to be save for investments. We're going to talk about investments a little bit more, but remember, you only need to save for the down payment and for reserves in your investment. You don't have to, if you're buying a $500,000 house, you don't have to save $500,000. You guys are in real estate, you know this. I don't have to explain that to you. And then number 6, invest in real estate. This is what's going to get us to that financial freedom because of that passive income. And of course, investing in real estate is not passive. Investing in real estate can be very active. I just sold an investment property in Ohio. It was very active. The day before it closed, there was a pipe burst and a flood, and I had to be like on to get it taken care of. But I didn't ever have to go out there in Ohio. I never had to go to Ohio to do it, to deal with it. I had people in place to do stuff. So investing in real estate is more active than if you were investing in the stock market, but you're also going to get a higher return in investing in real estate. All right. So we talked about what to do with your money once you do get paid. Now let's talk a little bit about taxes and then investing. So taxes 101, we're not going to dive deep into this. This is not going to be exhaustive in any way, shape, or form. We are just doing the basics, and then you are going to talk to your tax person about diving into some of these things. All right, so the first thing that we need to have when we talk about your taxes is you have to have a profit and loss statement ready at any given time. When your tax person says, hey, it's time for your quarterly taxes, you need to be able to say, oops, forgot about that, but here you go, here's my P&L, it's ready for you. Now, if you don't know what a profit and loss statement is, that'll be a good thing to dive into. Google it, say, what is a profit and loss statement and how do I figure out how to manage that? You are now a business owner. And so when you got into real estate, you may not have been thinking, okay, I'm a business owner, I need to put my business owner hat on. You were thinking, I like to go look at houses. I love open houses, and I'm gonna go talk to people all day long and it's gonna be fun. That's a piece of it. But a bigger piece of it is you are running a business. You're running a small business. And so you need to make sure that you understand the business side of this. So your profit and losses, this is gonna be your income minus your expenses. And that is going to be where your profit and losses are. So your profits and your losses are your expenses. Profits are what you bring in, losses are what's going out. Pretty easy to do. I use QuickBooks. And again, this is something, there's a QuickBooks Self-Employed. It's super, super user-friendly. It also has a mileage tracker. You guys should be tracking your miles, unless you do it a certain way based on what your accountant says. But it's super easy to use, and it has an automatic mileage tracker. So I do pay, I think it's like $15 a month. I do pay for it. I'm not sponsored. I wish I was, but I'm not. So I'm just telling you what I use personally in my business. So that is definitely something that I would recommend, getting something that you can use to be able to track all of this stuff pretty easily. Now, if you are really good with Excel, use Excel. It's not hard. You just have to be disciplined and say, okay, at a certain time of day, every day this week, I need to go through all of my expenses, all of my automatic debits that have come out, all of everything that I've spent money on, and actually go through and pay these, mark this off. I don't like to do that. So I would rather have something automatically do it and me just say, yes, that's business. No, that's personal. Yes, that's business. All right, understand the basics. What deductions should you take? How much should you set aside? So talking about the deductions, this is another thing that I like to make it easy for myself. And so I do it through QuickBooks, telling me what I should set aside. It gives me an estimated amount of quarterly taxes. And so I'm able to send that in quarterly, or I can, whatever I wanted to do, it makes it easy for me. But you should know about the deductions. Now, you don't have to know everything about the deductions, but you should know if you own real estate, that's a deduction. If you own an investment property, that's a deduction. If you have losses in your investment property, that's a deduction. If you have a cell phone, that's a deduction. If you have an office, if you have all of these things that are your business expenses, those are deductions. So knowing how much do you need to set aside for taxes and what are the basic deductions. We'll talk briefly about the basic deductions in a minute. And then pay your taxes. Tomorrow is tax day, so make sure that you are paying your taxes on time to avoid fees and penalties that really can add up over time. In the beginning of your real estate journey, I feel like this is a tough one because, at least I should say for me, this was a tough one for me because I came from the W-2 world where every year I got money back. And so to have to pay, I was like, oh, I don't want to have to pay. And so because I knew I had to pay, I was like putting it off. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I have this big tax bill. The reality is if we have a big tax bill, that just means that we made a lot of money. So make sure that you're putting some of that money that you made aside. And then when your tax bill comes or when your quarterly taxes are due, it's no big deal. You're putting that aside and you're saying, thank you, US government, for the opportunity to make a lot of money on my own. Okay, so common self-employment deductions. Again, this is not exhaustive and I'm not a tax professional, but we want to understand the basics. So your home office, if you do not pay for an office in person, then you can pay off a percentage of the square footage of your home that accounts for your home office. Now, a few things about this, you can talk to your tax professional about this, but it has to be a standalone home office. It can't be used for other things. So if you have a desk in your master bedroom, primary bedroom, excuse me, you cannot take that. You can't take that as a home office deduction. But if you have a whole separate room that is exclusively used for an office, you can take that as a deduction. Talk to your tax accountant about that. Your internet as a percentage of use, your home internet, same thing. If you use it 20% of the time for business or 80% of the time for business or whatever it is, that percentage you can take off and you can use that. Your health insurance premiums. This is a big thing because we talk about, I just told you, you have to be covered. You have to make sure that you are fully covered because if something happens to you, you need a way to be able to collect some income. So your health insurance premiums are super important and they're tax deductible. So it's basically like a discount for you. And then a vehicle for business, you want to be tracking your mileage. So again, the most common way, especially for brand new agents, is just to track your mileage. Don't worry about the, paying a portion of whatever your monthly income or whatever, but talk to your tax professional about that. But definitely your vehicle for business is going to be a deduction of some kind, but talk to your tax professional to see what is that kind, like what is it for you? And then any kind of professional fees, anything that you have paid for education, for conferences, travel to conferences. If you are meeting up with a coach, if you want to take me out for coffee, that can be a professional fee that you are paying. And so you don't have to pay, that is a deduction. Any of your fees for business are going to be a deduction. All right, so let's move on to investors. If you guys haven't gotten this book, I highly recommend it. It's really good. And it's written in the same kind of basic format as the red book, the MREA, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. So basically it's saying, you know, it goes from, what is it? Earn $1 million, make a million, earn $1 million, keep $1 million, something like that. It's the same basic format for the Millionaire Real Estate Investor. And so in this, Gary Keller talks about the millionaire real estate investor takes luck out of their business by learning how to invest and investing to win. So we don't have to worry about the market. We don't have to worry about the fluctuations. We don't have to worry about the seasonality of real estate, because when you invest, you take all of that elements out because you're getting that passive income. Now, I'm not going to tell you exactly how to invest or where to invest or what to invest, but step one to investing is start simple. Start with a single family house. Start with the house that you own, if you can do that. Do a house hack. Have any of you heard of that? A house hack is where you live in one part of your house and rent out another part, whether that's a back house, a casita, a guest room, your whole room. What I used to do, I don't do this anymore, thankfully, because I didn't like it, but it was exactly what I needed at the time. I rented out my own primary residence on Airbnb as a short-term rental, and I just left and let people come in and stay. That was my version of house hacking. So however you want to start, just start figuring out how to be a landlord. Eventually, you don't need to be a landlord, because that is much less passive. When you're a landlord, it's much more active, although there are lots of ways that you can systematize it and automate it so that it doesn't have to be super active. All right, so let's talk about 5 investing myths. So, okay, trying to figure out what time it is and my watch is going crazy. All right, so myth number 1, investing is complicated. The truth is that investing is only as complicated as you make it. So if you try and talk about like, I really want to invest in cryptocurrency, and you don't know anything about it, and you're like, I'm just going to throw money at it. Yeah, that's going to be complicated because you don't know anything about it. But remember, and let's go to myth number 2, the best investments require knowledge most people don't have. But the truth is your best investments will always be in areas you can or already understand. You guys are real estate agents. You already understand the housing market. You already understand the pros and cons of owning a home. You already understand that piece of investing. And so you want to make sure that you take advantage of this type of investment category. Myth number 3, investing is risky. I'll lose money. Investing is not risky if you do it right, you do it smart. And if you are investing in cryptocurrency where you know nothing about, yeah, it's going to be risky. Yeah, you might lose money. But if you're investing in something that you know the housing market, you know what's going on. If you are a buy and hold investor, you are going to make money over time. But it's that mindset. It's over time. If you're thinking, I'm going to be a flip investor, you might not make money in today's market. And you might, because actually things can be going really good for flippers, but they're not as good as say 2 years ago or 10 years ago. So you are in this market, you understand this market. And if you don't, you're learning, you're in this business, you will understand this market. Number 4, myth number 4, successful investors are able to time the market. The truth is that in successful investing, the timing finds you. This is that luck favors the prepared kind of thing. You do not need to be timing the market. There is no such thing as timing the market. If we were timing the market, nobody would have bought a house in 2020. Nobody would have bought a house in 2020. And look what happened to the people who bought a house in 2020. They have 6 figures worth of growth. They have, 12, 15, 25, 35, 40% of equity in their house now because they bought when everybody was like, no, don't buy. So we don't time the market. Successful investing, the timing finds you. you gain the knowledge, you gain the understanding, you build yourself up and put yourself in those positions to be able to invest, the timing will find you. And when you buy and hold, you are almost always guaranteed to make money over time. I say almost always just for that like 0.001%, and you're going to make money over time if you're holding it long term. But you also have to remember that that's why you have to have reserves. The people who have to sell and lose money are people who are like, oh, I ran out of money and all of these problems are happening and all of this stuff, and it's not covering my rent, and now I have to put money from my own pocket into it. If you had reserves, you don't have to worry about that. So we want to make sure that when you're doing investing, we're not talking about like putting every last penny toward this rental property and hoping that it's a good deal. All right, myth number 5, all the good investments are taken. But the truth is that in every market, there are shares of good investments. Every market has its share of good investments. Every investor I know they buy and sell in every market. They buy and sell with every president. They buy and sell with every governor. They buy and sell in every market, up, down, whatever, because there's always money to be made in every market, but it's about buying right. And that doesn't mean that it's about like getting the best deal you can possibly get. It's about saying, okay, these numbers work out. And in 2 years, when your rents go up, when your appreciation goes up, now all of a sudden you're making a lot more money than what you were making when you bought originally. But you have to know that you have to buy and hold. You can't just be a flipper thinking you're going to make money in every market. That's not the case. All right. I'm not going to go over this a lot because this is a lot. This is in, I believe this is part of the Millionaire Real Estate Investor. The idea here is that if your goal is to get $100,000 a year in passive income after taxes, then we're going to do some of these things. Now, it's saying also if you want $1 million a year, or if you want 250 million or $2,500,000 a year, then you're going to do some of these other things. Okay, but we're going to say our goal is to get $100,000 a year passive. We had a visitor, sorry. Okay, so if we're saying that at $100,000 annual income minus $30,000 in taxes, now we have $70,000 minus $30,000 to invest back into your life. Now we have $40,000 to live. So if you want to adjust any of that, of course you can adjust any of that. But basically what we're saying is if you take $30,000, which is basically a down payment for, if you have to put 10% down on a $300,000 home, that's going to be $30,000. Now, most of the time you have to put a 20 to 25% down payment if you are investing. So we want to think about, okay, $30,000, if you're putting 20% down, that's only going to be what, $150,000 house? Where do they have that? They don't have that anywhere. So if we're thinking about this, we say, okay, then we need to save more than that. So if we want to make if we want to save $300,000, saving $30,000 over 10 years is going to get us $300,000. Okay, that makes sense. This is how the math works. Now, what we really want to say is that if you're trying to put this in the stock market and you're wanting to put $300,000 in the stock market, you need $300,000 to put in the stock market. But if you want to buy a house for, what's easy math, $600,000, and you only need to put 20% down. So what is that? 20% of 600,000. 60,000? No. 120,000. It's called leverage. So we want to make sure that we are leveraging our debt. So when we say there's no other investment that you can put only a percentage down and be able to get this huge investment. You cannot do that in the stock market. You cannot do that in crypto. You can only do that in real estate. And the government incentivizes you to own real estate. That's why you get tax breaks when you own real estate. That's why you can take all these deductions when you own real estate. So you want to make sure that that is, hopefully I'm helping to convince you that that's the direction you want to head. Now, we're not going to look at all the rest of this, but basically what we're talking about is you need to figure out how much do you need to be able to buy a house in your area. Now, if you think about doing a live-in flip, or if you think about investing in some other way, a house hack, or if you say, I want to live in it and then rent it out once I move, take some equity and then move out and then rent out my current house, you don't need 20% down. You only need 3.5%. Talk to your lenders and talk to them about how much do you need if you're going to make that your primary residence. So get into investing one way or another, whatever that looks like for you. All right, so let's talk about how to win. What's important now? What do we need to do today to make sure that we can have financial freedom in the future? First, get on a budget. Make your money work for you. A lot of people are like, ooh, budget, that's a bad word. I hate that word, budget. Ugh. But the reality is that when we make a budget that we can stick to, that's realistic, you're giving yourself freedom to spend money on these different things. So when you make a budget, it doesn't have to be super restrictive unless that's your goal. If your goal is to be so restrictive and pay off your debt and all of this kind of stuff, okay, do that. But the reality is that most of us don't have any kind of a budget and we just spend money willy-nilly and then we wonder, where did my money go? I just got a $60,000 check. Where did that go? Well, first of all, you really only got probably 20,000 of that, but even still, do you know how fast $20,000 goes?
Yes.
Super fast.
Yes.
Super fast. It amazes me when I'm like, where did that go? We have got to get on a budget, especially having an irregular income like we have. It is super important to get on a budget because your money, poof, it's going to be gone. All right, pay your taxes. Get a good tax professional on your team to help you achieve your goals. Don't skimp out on this. Don't be looking for like the cheapest one you can possibly find. Don't do TurboTax. Now, TurboTax, I will say, TurboTax has its place because if you have a super easy, simple, like thing, you don't have any houses, you don't have anything, TurboTax is great. But as soon as you get like where you need some more deductions or you need to
Deal with investments.
yeah, talk about investing, anything like that, you need to pay somebody to do that. It's the same kind of thing as we are not telling people, hey, it's an easy transaction, just buy your house on your own. No, you're saying you need a professional to be helping you through this because I know what you don't. And so we want to make sure that we're doing the same thing. We don't need to be in charge of our taxes because we are not the professionals, and pretty quick it's going to get to the point where it's over your head. And then educate yourself. Understand investing so when the time comes, you're ready to pull the trigger. It doesn't have to be today, but what I would say is try and say, what can you do today that will help prepare you to be an investor tomorrow? Because we don't have that we don't have the, not job security. We don't have the retirement. We don't have the future mapped out for us. Again, I personally don't believe anybody does. I think pensions go away. I think, like Social Security, we can't rely on that. People who are my age or younger, you don't have Social Security, it's gone. So we do not want to rely on that. We have to rely on ourselves and what we can do. And that is going to be investing. All right, and then lastly, this is your bonus. My favorite resources. This is what I use in my actual business, in my actual investing. So the first one is, I talked to you about this, Self-Employed QuickBooks, which includes a mileage tracker. There is Mileage IQ or Mile IQ that is also a free mileage tracker. This Self-Employed, I just like it because it's all in one, so I don't have to go to 2 different apps or whatever. It does the same kind of thing. Mint, this is for, I like to use Mint. It's an app. I like to use it for my personal expenses. It keeps track of my net worth and it does it all automatically. And so I'm able to track my net worth. When you get to the point, and this is not to say this whatever, when you get to the point where you're not necessarily tracking like every dollar that comes in and every dollar that comes out, you need to track it on a bigger picture. And so I just like how Mint does that. It tracks your net worth, it tracks, you know, all of that kind of stuff. It takes your debts and your credits and all of that kind of thing and just keeps it on track for you. So I personally like to use Mint. Bigger Pockets calculators. We didn't talk about Bigger Pockets at all today, but I do love Bigger Pockets personally. It is a website, Bigger Pockets, and it's a podcast. It actually has a bunch of podcasts, and it's a publisher. So there are a bunch of Bigger Pockets books that you can buy to read. And I really like a lot of things about Bigger Pockets, but it's mainly for investors. And it's usually it's not just for new investors. It's not just for veteran investors. It basically can meet you at whatever level you're at. But the calculators they have rehab calculators, they have rental calculators, they have all kinds of calculators where you put in the numbers and it'll spit it out to say, yes, this is a good investment. No, this is not a good investment, you know, or really you're looking at that and determining that. But just start playing around with things like this and see, you know, like pull up a house on Zillow that you're interested in, or Zillow, why did I say Zillow? Pull up a house on your website that you're interested in on the MLS and run some numbers. Go to these calculators and figure out, would this be a good deal? You don't have to buy it, but start to get in that mindset of, is this a good deal? Would this give me a good return? Do I need a good return? Over time, is it going to be a good return? And start really thinking about that kind of thing. Stessa, this is another one that is specifically for investing. Stessa is assets spelled backwards. And it is, I really like it because it's another just automated way for me to be able to track my investments. So I was able to put my fourplex that I had and my personal residence that I had and track all of it for with Airbnb and all of that kind of stuff. So I really like this one, and it's totally free. I didn't have to pay anything for that. They do have elements within the website that you do pay for, but it's for my needs, it was totally free. And then Rentometer. This is another one where you only get a certain amount for free, and then you have to pay for it. But this is a really good one when you have people who are saying, how much do you think this would rent for? You can go on here and it's very accurate. You just put the address in, you put how many bedrooms and bathrooms it has, and it's going to tell you the mid-range, the high range, the low range, and it's super accurate. So this is a really good one that'll help make you stand out within amongst your peers. All right, so next week we are talking about the market of the moment, how to sell now. So we're talking about what's going on in this market, what are the ins and outs, what's happening with, you know, interest rates and all of that. Of course, I'm not a lender. Hopefully we will have a lender in here talking to us that day, but we as real estate agents need to have a good handle on this. If you're not in coaching and want to learn more, here's my information.
Well, I hope that helped. That was just a little sneak peek of our weekly workshops. Remember, you can join us live in our weekly workshops every Monday at 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, where you can ask any questions you have and be there in real time. Click the link below to register for the next workshop. And if you want to dig deeper and grow your real estate business, click the link below and let's schedule a call to talk about coaching. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you get more videos just like this as soon as they come out, and we'll see you in the next video.